Sun Zhentai is one of the highest-level officials prosecuted under President Xi Jinping's high-profile campaign to crack down on corruption. The court will pick a date later for sentencing.
Overseas now, the United States says all options are on the table as it mulls the response to a suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria last weekend. While the US and its allies say a final decision on military action has yet to be taken, they stress they hold the Syrian government responsible for the poison gas atrocity.
American warships getting ready to set sail from their base in Norfolk, Virginia. Their destination, the eastern Mediterranean near Syria. The United States has been quite vocal these past few days that it is seriously considering a military response against Syria over a suspected poison gas attack last weekend that killed dozens of people in Douma. Douma, previously held by rebel forces, has been retaken by the Syrian army with the help of Russia and other allies of Damascus like Iran. It's not just the White House thinking about military action. British ministers will discuss whether to join the US and France in a possible military attack on Syria.
All the indications are that this was the responsibility of the Syrian regime, and we will now work with our closest allies, to see how we can ensure those responsible are held to account and how we can prevent and deter the humanitarian catastrophe that is the use of chemical weapons in the future.
But any potential attack on Syria risks bringing Western and Russian forces into direct confrontation. Yesterday, US President Donald Trump warned Russia that missiles will be coming in response to the gas attack. He also lambasted Moscow for supporting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. But Moscow warned it would shoot down any missiles fired at military targets in Syria. Syria seems to be preparing for a possible strike. Its attempt to shelter aircraft, perhaps by locating them alongside Russian military hardware that Washington might be reluctant to hit, could limit damage the United States and its allies might be able to inflict on Assad's military. Meanwhile, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that pro-Syrian government forces were emptying main airports and military air bases.
US House Speaker Paul Ryan has announced that he will retire rather than seek another term in Congress. The Wisconsin Republican cast the decision to end his 20-year career as a personal one, saying he wants to spend more time with his family. But the decision will leave congressional Republicans without a measured voice to talk to President Trump away from what some see as damaging impulses. And it will also rob Trump of an influential steward to shepherd his more ambitious ideas into legislation.
Speaker Ryan's a good man. He's always true to his word. Even though we disagreed on most issues, in the areas where we could work together, I found him to be smart, thoughtful, and straightforward. I found him to have a great deal of integrity.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg admitted to US House lawmakers that even he was unable to protect his own data amid the company's data privacy scandal. But he emerged largely unscathed and avoided being cornered into supporting legislation for social media regulation. Jeff Tang reports.
A suited Mark Zuckerberg returned to Capitol Hill looking for more likes on the second and final day of his congressional testimony over Facebook's data privacy scandal. After impressing the public on Tuesday by apologizing at the Senate hearing, the 33-year-old largely succeeded in deflecting tougher questions from House lawmakers. But as they pounded him on user data and privacy settings, Zuckerberg was forced to admit that he was among the nearly 87 million people whose personal information was improperly shared with Cambridge Analytica.
Was your data included in the data sold to the malicious third parties? Your personal data?
Yes.
It was. Are you willing to change your business model in the interest of protecting individual privacy?
Congresswoman, I'm not sure what that means.
Well, I'll follow up with you on it.
While Zuckerberg acknowledged that social media regulation is inevitable, he refused to make any promises to support new legislation by deftly taking the side of the little guy.
Regulation, by definition, puts in place rules that a company that is larger, that has resources like ours, can easily comply with, but that might be more difficult for a smaller startup to comply with.
But after the 10-hour grilling from both House and Senate, it remains clear how little Congress seems to know how to go about regulating social media platforms. Analysts slammed the Facebook founder for making hollow promises for better privacy protection.
There is an incentive, obviously enough, in a capitalist system to make as much money as you can. And so these promises ring a little bit false, frankly, or hollow. I think what Zuckerberg really needs to understand is that it's not a legal court of law that is the issue here. It's the court of public opinion.
But it seems he did win in the court of public opinion. Facebook shares rose almost 1% after a 4.5% jump the day before. That recouped more than $25 billion in its market value after last month's revelation. As for Zuckerberg himself, his stake grew back around $3 billion just over the last 2 days. That's worth a lot of likes indeed. Jeff Tang, TVB News.
In the UK, the daughter of poisoned former double agent Sergei Skripal says she doesn't want help from the Russian embassy as she recovers from last month's nerve agent attack. The poisoning in Salisbury left her and her father in critical condition and created an international controversy. In a statement, Yulia Skripal said she finds herself with a totally different life than the one she had before the March 4th poisoning in southwest England. But Russia's embassy in London is questioning the authenticity of her statement, saying it was crafted to support Britain's version of the events.
India's space agency today successfully launched a rocket carrying a navigational satellite.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The rocket lifted off from a spaceport off the coast of Andhra Pradesh shortly after 4 a.m. It carried a satellite that's part of the Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, a homegrown version of the US-made GPS system. The satellite is meant to replace an older one that ran into trouble after its atomic clocks failed.
And still to come on the news tonight. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte meets with the local Filipino community. The Pope admits grave mistakes in his handling of a sexual abuse crisis in Chile. And royal baby fans outside a London hospital.
Crossing China's majestic mountains, seas of bamboo, and breathtaking desert, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon told an epic tale of honor, love, and courage. In reality, these are also the core values the local legends live by. Tonight, big screen splendors at 9:35 on Pearl.
配方奶粉從此不一樣，雅培突破科研，全球首創 HMO 配方奶粉。HMO 係母乳第3大營養，以往只存在喺母乳之中，培育寶寶自身免疫力。我哋相信守護寶寶係媽媽嘅天職，超過15年重點科研，雅培 HMO 研發自母乳，延續母愛真諦。
You think you've already found your ideal hotel? Well, before you book, check on Trivago to see if you can find it somewhere else for an even better price. Hotel Trivago.
Oh, wow. Strange and beautiful designs.
That's a real one, or that's a hoax.
Who's doing it? Why? Where from? What do they want to tell us?
Aliens, I don't know. Friday, Earth, Signs from Above at 9:35 on Pearl.
Welcome back. Before wrapping up his 3-day visit to Hong Kong, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte is meeting with the local Filipino community this evening. The president delivered a speech at Kai Tak Cruise Terminal. Around 2,000 people signed up for the event, including domestic helpers here in Hong Kong. Some said they want their leader to help improve their working conditions here. But not everyone is happy to see Duterte, though. This morning, Labour groups protested in Tsim Sha Tsui near the hotel the Philippine president was staying. They complained of deteriorating human rights and mass killings in the name of cracking down on drug syndicates back home. A motion was passed in the LegCo urging the government to push for the use of electric cars. It is non-binding though, and lawmakers still want the government to start with a policy of increasing the number of charging facilities for electric cars.
For this February, in Hong Kong, there's only 11,000 EVs, making up total registered vehicles less than 2%. Setting up charging facility is difficult and expensive. As for enhancing the coverage of the chargers, the government can take reference from Japan, where there is sufficient space in the filling station to add charging facilities.
Almost half of all legislators have signed up to visit the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Bay Area at the end of the month. It's a joint panel trip that seeks to understand developments in the region. Of 32 lawmakers who signed up, 9 are pan-Democrats. They will visit 5 mainland cities such as Foshan and Zhongshan to learn about the latest smart city technologies and rail networks. The 3-day trip starts on Friday next week.
A health scare at the busy Kowloon Tong MTR station. A 60-year-old worker at the station came down with a bacteria infection and remains in critical condition. The MTR Corporation sterilised the station after learning of the infection last night. One of its employees had meningococcal infection, mainly transmitted through droplets during sneezing or coughing. The infection can cause brain damage or even death. Health authorities are looking into the case as the patient has not travelled outside of Hong Kong recently.
Well, what are some of your favourite foods and how often do you eat them? That's what the government is trying to find out. It's part of a survey on local people's food consumption patterns. The findings will help the government update its food safety policies. From tomorrow, the Centre for Food Safety will invite 5,000 adults to take part in the survey. Randomly selected participants will be asked about their daily food habits, as well as the consumption of seasonal food like mooncakes. Authorities say the year-long survey is necessary to update information collected from more than 10 years ago.
Concerns on waste production led one group to organise a No Tissue Day. The goal is to use less tissue paper and rely more on towels or handkerchiefs. According to the Christian Family Service Centre, if everyone in Hong Kong can use one fewer piece of tissue paper a day, that will save 250 trees each day. It is launching No Tissue Day on April 26th. Participating restaurants, schools and government departments will not offer napkins, wet towels or tissue paper on the day.
Overseas again, Pope Francis has acknowledged that he made grave mistakes in the handling of a sexual abuse crisis in Chile. In a letter to Chilean bishops, the pontiff admitted he made the mistakes due in particular to a lack of truthful and balanced information. Francis said he felt shame and invited victims he had once doubted to visit Rome so that he could personally seek their forgiveness. Controversy over one of the bishops in Chile, Juan Barros, dominated the Pope's recent trip to South America. Barros was appointed by Francis in 2015 despite accusations that he had turned a blind eye to sexual abuse of minors by his mentor. Critics accused Francis of not understanding the depth of the crisis after he initially defended Barros as a victim of slander.
Los Angeles County prosecutors are reviewing sexual assault allegations against the actor Kevin Spacey for possible criminal charges. Sheriff's investigators presented the allegations to the District Attorney's Task Force on Sex Crimes in the entertainment industry. The LA District Attorneys confirmed the case is under consideration by prosecutors. According to police, a man alleged that Spacey sexually assaulted him in West Hollywood in October 1992. Investigators from the department's Special Victims Bureau began an investigation in December, a few weeks after the actor was first publicly accused of sexual misconduct by actor Anthony Rapp. And Tony, what do we have in sports tonight?
Oh, more Champions League results to talk about, but first let's talk about some snooker. England's Matthew Selt defeated Hong Kong's Ng On Yi at the qualifiers for the World Snooker Championships. The women's number one failed to make a break of 50, losing 10-1 in Sheffield. The 27-year-old has not had much success playing against the men. This is the third straight year she's failed to qualify for the main draw. The World Championships begin later this month at the Crucible. Bayern Munich and Real Madrid have advanced to the last four of the Champions League. The German Giants beat Sevilla 2-1 on aggregate after a 0-0 draw at the Allianz Arena. At the Bernabeu, Real Madrid held off Juventus. The defending champions squandered a 3-0 first-leg advantage and needed an injury-time penalty from Cristiano Ronaldo to avoid an embarrassing exit. Ronaldo has now scored 120 goals in 150 Champions League appearances. Midfielder Toni Kroos expects his team to perform better as Madrid goes for a fourth European trophy in 5 seasons. To the NBA now, and the Minnesota Timberwolves punched their ticket to the playoffs on the last day of the regular season. The Wolves beat the Denver Nuggets. And baseball, the only big league's only two-way player, continued his hot start to the season. Shohei Ohtani
And finally, royal baby fans have set up camp outside London's St Mary Hospital, where the Duchess of Cambridge will give birth to her third child. Some of them already have their own ideas of names for the baby.
Well, we're here for the great news. The Duchess of Cambridge is going to have her third child. We want it to be a healthy baby, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl.
No, it doesn't.
And if it's a boy, we'd like it to call Philip Michael.
Yeah.
And if it's a girl, we'd call it Elizabeth.
The fans are camping outside the Central London Hospital's exclusive Lindell Wing. That's where the Duke and Duchess' first two children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, were also born. Press barriers and parking restrictions have been put in place around the hospital since Monday in preparation for the expected global media presence in the coming weeks. British media quoted sources as saying the baby could arrive on St George's Day on April 23rd. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, an auspicious day for them, I'm sure.
And that's the news.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
On the next Bull.
Oh, yeah.
When a high school all-star falls for his teacher.
Susan and I are in love. It's a little too late for a parent-teacher conference.
It's the case.
Susan and Jordan are having a baby.
Can't go any worse.
That keeps on giving.
You're 4 months pregnant? It's not Jordan's baby.
I'm gonna get full custody, you hear me?
I love a surprise party.
Tonight, Bull at 10:40 on Pearl.
You're searching heaps of websites looking for the best hotel deal. Stop doing that to yourself. Let Trivago do it for you. Trivago compares prices from hundreds of websites and apps at the same time. It's that simple. Hotel Trivago.
牛欄牌獨有 ProAbsorb 配方，結合益生菌同專利9:1益生元組合，肚仔營養好 ，BB 更容易吸收美好大世界。
牛欄牌仲有全新嘅 Meal Plus， 係小朋友嘅吸收好 buddy。
Expect the unexpected. It's a stage full of surprises.
It was horrible, but in a really, really good way.
Amanda Holden's been on it for years.
Saturday and Sunday, DPM Point-to-Point Mattress presents Britain's Got Talent, Season 11 at 8:30 on Pearl.
Good evening. Mainly cloudy with coastal mist in the morning. Sunny intervals during the day. At 5 p.m., a southerly airstream was affecting the coastal areas of Guangdong. The weather was mainly cloudy over most parts of southern China. Up until 5 p.m., today's temperatures range from 23.9 to 28.1 degrees, and the relative humidity was between 68 and 89%. Light to moderate south to southeasterly winds. The current temperature is 26 degrees Celsius with the relative humidity standing at 80%. So, Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow?
Oh. Hi.